Hi everyone, this is Farhan Jamil. I hope you all are having great time over there and enjoying the life to its full. Well, today we are going to talk about the listening test, and in fact, we are going to cover each and everything that you need to know in order to get 8 or 9 band in your listening test. So, this video is specifically going to cover all the basic thing, the beginner level thing, then intermediate and then advanced level things. So this video contains every information that you need to know from basic to advanced, everything at whatever level you are. This video is going to be a fully support for you for your preparation, inshallah. All right. So before we talk about anything else, before we talk about listening, I would highly request you all to give us appreciation by subscribing the channel, by liking the video that we are making, and even keep commenting us. This thing gives us the message that people are watching and they are interested in watching these videos, so that we should make more effort to make these videos even more effective, inshallah. All right. So let me tell you in the beginning what are the general information about the listening test and what exactly is the listening test when it comes to the IELTS test, IELTS exam. And number one thing that you need to know is that listening test is just a 30-minute test. It's not like you're reading, it's not like you're writing. It's also not like you're speaking one, because speaking usually goes from 10 to 20 minutes. Writing usually goes for 1 hour. I mean, that is a 1 hour time duration given over there. For reading, once again, you have to do the reading within an hour, but listening test only takes 30 minutes, or you can consider 40 minutes, because they also give you 10 minutes at the end of the listening audio that you can transfer your answers to the answer sheets. So 30-minute means it's usually a 30-minute audio, not exactly 30 minutes. Sometimes the audio is of 24-minute, 27-minute. So we can say, just to round the number, that the video would be for 30 minutes, audio would be for 30 minutes. And there would be 4 sections. Earlier they were calling it sections, now they are calling it parts. And in these 4 parts there would be different audios, and the best part is they do not play the audio in one go. They are going to play the video part by part, and even they divide the parts into further division. For instance, in the part 1, they won't play the whole audio for the part 1. In the beginning they will tell you, they might even play one example, and after that they might even tell you that now you have some time to read out question 1 to 5. So they will play the audio only for the first 5 questions. After that, they will give you once again time to read out question 6 to 10. During that time, you can underline the keyword, you can understand the question, or what they are going to talk about. So that's how they've divided it. Same as in the part 2, you have some time to read out question 11 to 16, and then might be 17 to 20. Then in part 3, to 21 to 26, 25, whatever the number it would be. But the part 4 is different. In part 4, they play the whole part 4 in one go. They will even guide you that now you have some time to look at question 31 to 40, and it would be one audio, no break in the part 4. That's how part 4 is different than the previous 3 parts. But what exactly happens in these parts? Let me tell you that. In the part 1, they're gonna play a conversation, usually between 2 people, not more than 2. So 2 persons will be conversating on any of the topic. Usually that topic is about any incident related to life, or any life related situation. So it's a very general life related conversation they are having. You just simply have to listen to that, and there would be different questions on your question paper. Just keep listening to that and keep answering accordingly. And there are different type of the question. That's what I'm going to tell you later on. But in the part 2, they are gonna it's gonna be a monologue. Monologue means only one person will be talking about something. It could be a chunk of a news, it could be any social message that they are delivering, or anything related to the social conversations, anything related to people, not very academic one, not very advanced level, or not any rocket science as well. Life related things, but one person is continuously speaking about that. Just as I said, it could be one part of a news that they are going to play over there. Number three, in part three, they again go towards the conversation. But the difference between the part one conversation and part three conversation is in part one, there are only two-person conversating with each other. In part three, maybe there would be four persons conversating with each other. And this audio, in fact, that is why maybe people find it difficult when they are watching a video, a movie. It's easy to understand that who is talking right now, but in the IELTS listening test, there is no video. You know that. It's only the audio. So you have to understand four different accents, might be, and four different voices, which are related to four different individuals. You have to be very determined and focused so that you get it quite easily that who exactly is speaking. And that's why people find part three a bit difficult, even more difficult than the part four. For some students, it's not for everybody. You might find part four difficult, you might find all the parts easy for you, because listening works differently for every single individual. In the part four, once again, it would be the monologue. So part one and part three are the conversation. In part one, two-person. Part three, there would be four persons might be. In part two, it's monologue. Part four, it's once again the monologue. But the only difference is this time monologue would be for 10 questions, and it could be an academic lecture, and this would be bit advanced, and they will be sharing a lot of irrelevant data because they want to distract you. It's a game they are playing with you. So you have to tackle it. You just simply need to build your skill in order to tackle your listening test and get really good band in your IELTS listening test. Now moving on. What exactly are they expecting from you? What exactly are they testing from your listening test? It's not like they are just testing your listening ability. That are you really? I mean, it's not a hearing test. It's the listening test. And just ask the difference between the hearing and listening. Hearing means are you able to get the voice only? It's not the test of your hearing, it's the test of your listening. They want to know that do you really understand when someone is talking to you, and when someone is continuously talking to you, are you really able to maintain your focus and be determined to keep listening to a person and keep getting the person's idea or the meaning, whatever he wants to communicate with you. And it's more about the first thing that they want to assess is that are you really able to differentiate between the main idea and the supporting detail. In just like in your listening, just like in your reading and writing, in fact, when you're reading any text passage, you might have heard it from your IELTS instructor, from YouTube videos, that always read out the first two lines and the last two lines of the paragraph, and you will somehow get the meaning of like what exactly are they talking about in this one specific paragraph. What happens in it's a universal formula that whenever anybody write down a paragraph, it would start with the main idea, then it would go toward the supporting detail. Supporting detail means they will add on, and might be an example, an experience, any life related experiment, anything to elaborate that. Same as in speaking and same as in writing. When you write down any essay, so you know that you in every body paragraph, you start with the main idea, then you go toward the supporting detail. Same as in the listening, the audio they will play, they are gonna give you two types of information in every context. First one would be the main idea, then there would be supporting details, some examples, some explanation. These things would be there. Are you really able to differentiate between these things or not? That's the first thing they want to know. Number two, they want to know that are you really able to follow the development of an idea? Because when a person is continuously speaking, when a person is continuously delivering a message, he is developing an idea. And development of an idea requires the baseline, requires further explanation, example, further main ideas. There would be different perspective of an idea. Are you really able to get it? When conversation is like a tree. There are different branches and there are different leaves and there are so many things in a conversation. Same as, are you really able to understand, even in a monologue, are you really able to understand that how exactly they are creating the flow of the delivery of an idea? Are you really able to understand it or not? So for that, of course, you need to be more focused. You have to just continuously stick to the idea they're delivering and keep understanding that. How do you have to do that? Of course, I'm going to explain to you those things in the next steps. And the last thing that they are going to assess in your listening test is, are you really able to understand the meaning, opinion of the speaker? Because they might say something different, and in the question something different is written, but those different thing would be creating the same meaning. Are you able to understand the attitude of the speaker? Are you able to understand the meaning of the speaker? What exactly is the context of his speaking? What message he wants you to understand? And sometime, in fact, most of the time, the words they are going to use in the statement and the words which will be written in the question will not be same. They will be using synonyms. They will be using different sentence structure. It's not like you should be trying to find out the same vocabulary words. For instance, if they say, let's suppose automobile, after that in the question they might not mention automobile or there, they might mention car, they might mention motorbike, anything like that. So they're not going to use the exact words there. You have to understand the meaning, what they want to communicate. If you're getting it, it's going to give you really good band. Moving on towards the question type, but before that, remember, timing is very important, because when you are listening to the audio, they do not play the audio ever again. They just play the audio once. So when you are listening to the audio, you have to keep writing it down on the answer sheet, on the question paper, maybe, because they give you 10 extra minutes to transfer your answer from the question paper, which is a rough paper for you, to the final answer sheet. They will give you 10 minutes. But when you are listening to the audio, keep writing it down at the same moment. Do not try to stash your answer, because saving your answers for the later use and saving it or keeping it in your mind that I will write it, I'm going to remember it. Remember, it's not going to work that way. You can't remember the answer of 40 questions all the way. That is not possible. Another thing, remember, you will be sitting, even if you're going to appear in a paper based, either you're going to appear in the computer based, you're going to sit in the same exam, which means academic students and general students, they appear in the same listening test. Speaking, same. Listening, same. Reading and writing are a bit different. Few parts of those two modules are different. So it means any content that you find for IELTS listening test, that is for you. It's not like this is from the academic book, this is from the general training book. Listening test would be same. Everybody has to have the same skills in order to pass the listening test or to get good band in the listening test. One more thing that you should remember, listening is the easiest module, because somehow we have developed the listening skills by watching movies, by watching cartoons, wrestlings, by watching even commentary in a football match, in a cricket match, or whatever. Most of the things we were listening in English. When we are using this digital platform, we are already listening in English conversation. Listening is easy, but it's a bit different than what we listen when it comes to the listening test. Because let's suppose if you're watching a movie, you don't need to, I mean it's not the same pattern. When you're watching a movie, nobody is going to ask you questions out of the context they were saying over there, out of the dialogues they were delivering over there. There would be no question. If you're listening to BBC, if you're listening to, let's suppose, any sort of radio or any English channel, English conversation, English season, movies, whatever it is, the English commentary, there would be no question here. But in IELTS listening test, there is a question here. Now, what's the difference about listening to something with the perspective that you're going to answer the question or you're not going to answer the question? The difference would be of the focus. Most of the students, they say that when we are traveling, we play some sort of audio and we are listening to the podcast, English podcast. We are listening to English conversations. So I'm ready for the IELTS listening test. It does not mean that at all. Might not be ready, because in the podcast, when you're watching a movie, when you're listening to commentary, you can skip some of the information. You're not paying 100% attention to the audio. You are not listening and trying to understand every single word from the audio. You can skip and you can do a lot of things meanwhile, But that is not the case what happens when it comes to the listening test. So when you are watching movies, when you are listening to some sort of audios, radio channel, you are not determined at that time that you have to answer the questions as well. There are no questions. Nobody's going to ask you any question out of the audio that you are listening to. But in IELTS listening, this is different. So if you are even listening English conversations in your daily life, it's not like you're ready for the IELTS listening test. What I would suggest you is to attempt more and more of the listening test. This is how you will understand and how to solve the different categories of the question. And now let me tell you about the second part of this video is about the categories of the question. There are around 10, 11 categories. For instance, MCQ's question would be the multiple selection could be there. There could be matching headings. There could be fill in the blanks. There could be short answers. Diagram completion, one of the most difficult one that students usually find. I mean, that's my experience. Students usually share that experience with me. So there are different categories of the question. You need to get a very good command on every single category of the question. And how do we do that? Whenever I am teaching to any of my students for the IELTS listening, the first thing that I always do is to do the assessment. That you can do yourself as well. By watching this video, you are going to learn that how to assess yourself, how to find out your listening mistakes, and how to create your own roadmap for the listening preparation. Number one, I ask them before even you attend any lecture, before you have seen any sort of tips or any tricks or technique that I'm telling you, just simply do one listening test. When they do one listening test, after that, of course, I mean the common practice is that we just simply find out that how many of the questions are right and how many of the answers are wrong. We just simply calculate that and we believe it's over. For instance, 28 out of 40, it's over. 28 means what's the exact band number? We just simply check that and we consider, okay, I'll do more effort. But what effort do you require over there? That's what I'm going to tell you. In the assessment test, I would like you to make two reports. In the first report, you just simply calculate that how many mistakes are there in section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. How many mistakes are there? For instance, in section 1, you have made only one mistake out of the 10 questions. In section 2, there are one mistake once again out of 10 questions. In section 3, there are 6 mistakes out of 10 questions. In section 4, there are 3 mistakes in out of 10 questions. So in the section 3, you have made most of your mistakes, which is number 6. It means your prime concern should be to get the skills, get the tips, tricks, and how to solve the passage 3, the part 3, section 3. This is what you usually get through the assessment report. Always calculated that in which part you are making most of the mistakes and try to work accordingly. Try to get the instructions from your IELTS tutor accordingly only. Then the second part of the report would be divide your whole test according to the categories of the question. How many mistakes are there in fill in the blank? How many mistakes are there in MCQs and diagram completion and fill in the blank? So how many mistakes are there? According to the categories of the question, you would be able to evaluate that which category is the most difficult for you. Everybody has different difficult part. Everybody has different difficult category of the question. You have to assess for yourself. It's not like if somebody tells you that he finds MCQ's most difficult one and you should also find that difficult. It's not going to happen. Maybe you find MCQs as the easiest one and you might find fill in the blanks as difficult one. It's different for everyone. This is what we are going to elaborate further in the further video. Okay, now I'm going to tell you a few of the tips that what things you are going to do in your listening test in order to get good band, even 8 or 9 band in your listening. First and the foremost tip is IELTS listening test. There are two things, listening and test. Test rules are different, test techniques are different, but you need to build your listening skill. And I usually say, if you have good listening, you can easily understand the test techniques. But if you do not have good listening skills, you are not gonna understand, tackle all the tips and tricks. Everything is gonna go in vain because you do not have good listening skills. What exactly mean by the listening skill? It's just like swimming. If you know swimming, of course you can swim in any swimming pool in the world. If you know driving, you can drive any car in the world. But the important part is, can you really swim? Can you really drive? Can you really listen to and understand when someone is talking to you in English? Now, what happens in the listening test? First thing, of course, what exactly I was telling you earlier, that you have to focus more on your content. You have to focus more on the information they are providing you. It's not like a movie that even if you have missed a part, you were taking popcorns, you were going out, you were have the conversation with your family members, or you're watching a movie with your friends. There are distractions. It's not like in the listening test. You cannot have the distractions at any cost. Focus more on that, because they are, focus is something which, if you have that, you are easily going to understand what exactly they are saying. You would be able to answer the question quite easily. Focus. And number two, different accents. There would be different accents that you are going to experience in your IELTS listening test. Just like if you have ever experienced a listening test, or even if you start experiencing right after this video, that what are, attempt any listening test, for any listening mock test from YouTube, even, you will find out that there are people from New Zealand who are the part of the conversation in the listening test, from Australia, from Canada, from UK, from India, from Russia, from Africa. It's a combination, even from Japan and Chinese accent, Chinese people speaking English, those things would be there. So it's a combination of different accents. You have to have your understanding for the different accents. And for that, what I would suggest you is to start listening to any content on daily basis. Practice. Just as I was telling you earlier, it's about building a skill, and skill means whatever accent other person is speaking, you should be able to understand it quite well. And in the listening test, yes, why it's important, yes, another part, why it's important to practice the IELTS listening, why I can't just watch movies, why I just can't listen to the podcast, because in those podcasts you are listening to one accent. There is no animation in the voices. It's the static thing that you are listening to. Even for 2 hours, you are just simply listening to one person. But in IELTS listening test, they will be changing the conversation, the pattern of the speaking, the accent. They will be changing everything. That is why it's really important that you practice IELTS listening test as well. But before that, build your general listening skill. And general listening skill means watch any content in English, start listening to anything in English. And just remember, you have to practice every single day. Now, another thing is to follow the instructions carefully. In IELTS, you know that everybody who has to go to any English country, they have to appear in the IELTS test, and IELTS is the only tool through which we understand that this person has the good understanding of the English language. He has a good command on English language. For that, you need to understand the exam pattern, and the most important thing in the exam pattern is following the instruction. If you do not follow the instruction, don't even expect that you are going to get good band in your IELTS listening test. Instructions mean sometimes they tell you that do not write more than one word, and you write 2 words over there. You did not follow the instruction carefully. You have to just simply read out the instruction of what exactly do you have to do in this question, specifically the multiple selection. The difference between multiple choice question and multiple selection, the difference is, in multiple choice question you have to select one word. In multiple selection you have to select one or two answers. Even for one number, for one question there would be two answers. There is a probability for that. So most of the student, when we are practicing in our classes, most of the student, they make this mistake that they do not mark two answers. They did mention it. They do mention it quite clearly. Please select two options out of the given choices. You have to select two options, and students, because they are habitual to the multiple choice question, they are habitual that we have to select one answer only. They just select one and they move on. And that is how they lose their band, and that is how they lose their mark. Don't make this basic mistake. Now, another tip is keywords. Understand the importance of the keyword. Why do we need the keyword when we are solving the MCQs questions? MCQs are the trickiest one, not the trickiest one because they are tricky themselves. They are tricky because you have to, for one number, you have to read out one lengthy question, then there would be four further statements. And that is why you have to read out a lot of content. Meanwhile, audio is continuously going on, it's played already. You have to read out four lengthy statements to understand the question and then to answer the exact one. Keywords would help you to identify the key information out of every statement. Just as when they give you time to read out question 21 to 27 or 31 to 37, whatever they give you time, in that time, just simply underline the key words for you. Those keywords would help you to understand what exactly are you looking for. What is the context of the question? What are these options about? Underline the key differences between the audio, between the MCQ's choices. When you are listening to the audio, you would be easily able to tick the correct answer. Another tip is never ever make a spelling mistake when it comes to transferring your answer to the answer sheet. You know, when you are solving the listening test and the listening test is the question paper is in front of you. Question paper is like a rough paper. You can write even wrong spelling or the way you can understand it later on. You can do whatever you want to on the question paper. And even we understand that the listening audio is going on and you are solving, you have to you're trying to give the answer. You cannot be considered, for instance, if surrounding is the word that you are trying to write, you can't be so concerned that you should write correct spelling. It should be clearly readable for you, it should be neat and clean for you. If you're paying your attention there, if you're spending your time there, audio is going on, they are might be giving you answer for the next question or might be next to the next one. Don't waste time on that. But yes, when you transfer your answer to the final answer sheet, there should not be any spelling mistake. Spelling and grammar. Grammar mistake should also not be there. For instance, if they, I mean, how can you make your grammar perfect by selecting one word and fill in the blank? That's possible when you read out the context of the question. Noun is required, verb is required, adverb is required. What exactly is required? A singular word is required, a plural word is required. If you focus on these things, you would be able to give a grammatically correct word to complete the sentence. That's important. Now, I'm going to tell you a few of the things that you have to do on the exam day. And these things are important. We don't pay much attention to these things, but we just simply take a lot of pressure just because we do not follow these things. Number one, on the exam day, I would suggest you, please reach on time. Don't go exactly, 5 minutes late, or don't take a lot of, don't take it easily that you just consider, okay, my exam is at 12 o'clock, so I'll leave from my home at 11:30. Don't give yourself a 30-minute margin. I would even suggest you to take the margin of 1 hour or 1 hour, 30 minutes. I mean, what's a big deal? You know, traffic could become a problem for you. For instance, if you give a 30-minute margin for you to reach at your exam center, don't just simply consider that there would be no traffic. You are going to find out the location quite easily. You know, I'm also a public speaker. So even if I have to deliver any public speaking, if I have to go on stage anytime, the practice that I make, even days before, a week before, usually I just simply visit that place. I try to understand what that place looks like, and I even try to request them that I want to see the auditorium, I want to see that where exactly am I going to deliver the speech, so that I would be able to understand that what would be the atmosphere over there and what are the things that I can do, how can I engage my audience over there. I even practice by going on stage and what should be the way, because it's if it's the first time, I don't even know that how do I have to enter on the stage or jump on the stage. It might create a hassle for me. I just want to get out of these tiny tensions that I can create for myself. That's why I go earlier. Same as, you know, Where do they conduct the listening test, the IELTS test? Usually in the marquees and the wedding areas. You have that place already a week before. You know where they're going to conduct your exam. Just visit that place and just consider how many schools are there on your way. What sort of traffic are you going to face when you will be going there? How exact time do you require to reach to your exam center? How it seems like? From where do you have to enter to that place so that you will be confident that day? I would suggest you to visit that place a day or 2 days before, and on the exam day, try to reach there an hour before. There is no harm in reaching there before, but yes, it's gonna be so harmful for you if you will go there on time or even if you get bit late, because this is a psychological pressure that we create for our own self. And just as I mentioned earlier, when you are sitting in your exam, remember your question paper is just and only your working paper. You can write whatever you want to on your working paper, and then yes, final answer sheet should be neat and clean, and there should not be any mistake over there. Another thing, mostly students come and they say that, sir, my headphones were not working over there. My answer sheet was not, was might be torn off, or it was not clean. Whatever is happening, if you face any sort of problem in your IELTS listening test, or even any listening test, any IELTS test, any module, speaking, reading, writing, or even listening, make a complaint to your invigilator over there. Even, once my student complained that in the listening test, the headphones were not working properly, and he was so tense that he has missed the listening test. He was not able to understand it. And what we did, we just simply wrote down the email the same day that the headphones were not working. And the body, they actually rearranged our test. They gave us another date. So that's what they did. Of course, if you have a problem, if it's not from your end, the body, they are not gonna make you suffer because of the things they could not provide you during the exam day. So if you find any sort of difficulty, do not hesitate to inform it to the invigilator or to the body. They will definitely come up with a solution. One more thing that students often ask me after watching videos or after listening to different instruction from other instructors, that we should not write in capital words. We should always write in the small words. Can we write the first alphabet in capital and later on all the words should be in the small alphabet? My answer would be, when you are transferring your answer to the answer sheet, there is no question that either you are writing in the capital words or not. You can write it whatever the way you want it to be. But yes, if you have confusion, if you're writing down the answer for the fill in the blank and you feel it like it's the first word, I should write the capital C of the word and then all other alphabet should be the small one. Okay, do it that way. No question on that. If you feel it like I should write all the answers in capital words only so that it should be clearly readable, joint writing should not be there in your answer sheet, go ahead, go for that. Readability should not get compromised. Your examiner should be able to get the correct spellings quite easily. He should not be making any sort of hassle to understand what exactly have you written over there. So the last part of this video is, I'm going to suggest you a few of the things that you should not do in your listening test. Now, things that you have to avoid in your listening test. Number one is to start listening to the audio blindly. And blindly means, when the question paper is in front of you, read it out. What's the heading? What exactly are they going to talk about? If you do not know about that and you just simply pay attention to the listening audio without understanding the question paper, without understanding that what exactly are you going to look for, everything is going to go in vain. What I would suggest you, read out the heading, create a general understanding about the topic and what they are going to talk about. Read out the question. Don't try to impress your fellow members or impress nobody that you are not reading questions. When they give you time, you don't need that. You understand it quite easily and you will solve it. Utilize that time. Listen, read out the questions carefully and try to understand your general perception about the topic that they are going to deliver over there, so that you would be able to listen to the audio and will understand it clearly. But number two thing that you should avoid is also related to the other part. The first part is that yes, you have to give your general understanding about the topic, but don't try to predict the answer. Don't try to predict the information. Maybe they mention anything related to psychology and you are a psychologist. Maybe if they are talking about anything related to medicines and you are a doctor, medicine doctor, still, it's not like all the question will have the answer on the basis of what is the reality, what you know. Maybe they are saying something different. Maybe their context is different. It's not the test of your intellectuality. It's not the test of your general knowledge. You just simply have to depend on the information they are providing in the audio. If there is anything which is not in the audio, you know, and you just simply try to impress your examiner by writing down the exact information. It was not even there in the audio, and I have jotted down the correct answer. No, 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 no. It's the listening test. They just want to understand that are you really able to listen to and understand and get the meaning from the audio or not. It's not the general knowledge test. It's not a subject related test. It's the listening ability test and understanding ability test. And another part, thing that you should avoid is number three is avoid the distractors. Distractors would be there. Distractor could be by giving extra information. Distractors could be by giving some sort of, by using some words, subordinate clauses, and they just simply take you toward the other perspective. For instance, if I tell you that Ali is a very good boy, but he always comes late. So after but, they are gonna give the opposite information. This is a subordinate clause. So focus more on these subordinate clauses. Focus more on the conjunction. Focus more on the word which can create the distraction for you. And what the distraction also means, you should be paying attention to the audio, to the context, to the question. What information you're looking for? If they are saying something else, don't pay much attention to that. Yes, stay connected to the content they're delivering, but try to wait till the time they give you the answer. One more instruction: do not ever leave your answer blank. There is no negative marking. If there is no negative marking, it means there is no point of leaving a question empty. You just write anything. Something is better than nothing. You might get a fluke that you give the correct answer, probability. But if you just simply leave the answer blank, it means, I mean, just write down anything. Don't leave your answer blank. If you leave it blank, there is no chance that you can give the correct answer. But even if you write something down from your own understanding, yes, you can, there is a probability you might give the correct answer. Last but not the least, the thing that you should avoid in your listening test is do not wait too long for your correct answer or even to find out your answer. Maybe they have said the answer already and you could not find or you could not listen to that one specific word or that context from the audio, and you are just simply considering, okay, they will say it now. If you are not able to find out the answer, move on. For instance, if you are at the question number 27 and you could not get the answer quite easily, and now they said the answer, you couldn't get it, and now they are giving you the answer for 28, 29, 30. Just because you were paying your attention to the question number 27, you have missed the next three questions as well. So there is no point. It's always better to focus or to move on to the next question if you're not able to find out the answer. Maybe they've delivered the answer. Just move on and stay connected. Keep an eye on the next question and try to keep listening to the audio in a way that if they give you an answer for the next question, you will just simply mark that. You will not stick to one question only. Specifically in the section 4, when they are going to play the whole audio in one go, if they are playing an audio in a way that question 31 to 40, they are going to give you the answer, they are going to play the audio for the 10 questions. If that is the story, in that case, if let's suppose you are at question number 32, you are not able to find out the answer for that, what you're going to do? Are you just going to keep listening to the audio and keep sticking yourself to the question number 32 and you will face the rest of the 8 questions? Of course, I would suggest you not to do that. Just simply move on. Build the habit of moving on. move on in a way that maybe they delivered the answer, you could not understand it. Now stick to the audio and try to find out that which question is related to this specific audio that they have played right now. Move on. Don't spend too much time on one question because it's not practical. It's not making any sense that they will be giving a lot of irrelevant information for one question only, and after that they will give you other 7 8 answers right away. It's not going to happen. All right. This is it for the listening test from my side. There would be a lot of the things that I'll be covering, inshallah, in the next videos. But if you find this video helpful, just simply subscribe the channel, like the video, write down in the comment section. You can even write me an email on info@farhanjamil.com. If you want me to make any video, any specific video, or any of the problem that you are facing, and you want me to give you a lecture on that, you want me to give you explanation for that, just simply send me a message. Might be you can even send us a message on the Facebook, inbox, email. Everything is there. There are thousands of ways to connect with each other. So do write us if you want me to make any video. Well, thank you so very much for watching this complete video. I know this video was a bit extensive, but I really wanted to cover a lot of perspective in one video. And thank you for watching. Take care, stay blessed. Bye bye. Allah Hafiz.